Hello, sinners and hail Sappho. It's your hostess with the mostest, Narcissa DeVille. And if you're new to this channel, hi, hello. I'm Narcissa. I make new videos, usually weekly. I'm going to start doing them twice weekly for a little bit. And right now I'm doing a review of the full moon episode of Helluva Boss. Now, I came in very late to the Helluva Boss game, to the point that by the time I came into it and started watching the show, they were already on episode 7 of season 2. So needless to say, I mean, it came out like a month before I started watching it. So I had a very long wait between episode 7 and episode 8, because I pretty much binged the first 2 seasons and all of the episodes in I don't know, a couple of days, basically. And I have to say, I'm going to be as nice as I possibly can, because here's the thing. As a creator myself, I know how it feels to get critiques, but I have kind of mixed feelings about this episode, right? On the one hand, it was very, very exciting. It was very, very emotional in the parts where it was, but I do feel like it was kind of undercut by the whole dorks agents and then the cherubs stuff. I get that it's mainly a comedy show, so you're kind of starting with these comedy beats or whatever, but I have to be honest with you, I did not like the cherubs characters in that episode in the first place, and I also didn't like the dorks characters in that episode. So really, it's 2 sets of characters that I already didn't like in 2 episodes that I already skip on rewatch. I get why they exist. I get why that storyline was important. I think we learned a lot about Blitz's mindset in the dorks episode, so I can't be upset about that. But as far as the characters go, I didn't find them all that interesting. So to now have them come back, I'm like, oh, okay, great, I guess. And again, with the cherubs, it's the same thing. Heaven and the angels in this series do not in the least bit interest me. And that's not specifically because of the series. It's just, I don't think they're the most interesting characters. You know, what we've seen in Has Been, I feel like the characters in Heaven are the most annoying, and I don't want to see what Heaven's doing. Yes, I get that Angel's sister Molly is there, but other than that, I really don't care what's going on in Heaven, or Alistair's mother, but I don't care what's going on in Heaven. I don't want to see it. I don't it's actually, you know what? I feel the same way about Good Omens. I don't give a shit what they're doing in Heaven either. So the fact that all of these shows feel like they're kind of focusing on the duality, I'm just I get it. I get the point, and I get that it's an important thing because it talks about how, there's plenty of people in hell who are still good people, and there's plenty of people in heaven who are still assholes. I get that. I love that. I love the representation, but I don't care about heaven. I don't want to see what they're doing. I feel like we get enough of that in general bullshit anyway, so I don't need that in this type of show. So for me, that particular aspect I think was kind of diminished. The inclusion of the cherubs and the inclusion of the dorks agents, just I didn't need that. I knew they were gonna have to follow that up because they opened that plot thread, but I also just feel I just didn't need it to continue. I hope it does not become a bigger thing, because I don't care about them at all. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm alone there, but I just kind of feel that diminished the emotional resonance of this episode. We knew it was going to be a very emotional episode with, the confrontation of Stolas and Blitz. I will say, and I have thoughts on that too, and I will get to that, but I just feel it kind of got overshadowed by the slapsticky with the angels and the dorks agents, and then fighting the imps agents yet again. I just kind of feel I don't know, it doesn't resonate with me the way other episodes do. And I get it, there's going to be episodes that you don't like. In, season 2, episode 6 and 7 are my favorite. 6 is ultimately my biggest favorite so far. I love seeing Oz and Fizz. I love their little relationship dynamic. So to me, that's my favorite episode so far. I've watched that 100 times at least. But the episode that precedes it with Millie and Moxie, I don't care about that episode. I like that we get to see a little more of Blitz's sister, but it's an episode that I skip. ultimately, because the whole drama with Millie and Moxie in the human world and just that whole storyline, I just don't care about. I'm sorry. So like, I'm just, that is something I skip personally. And there's other episodes that I pretty much skip on rewatch, and then some episodes that I will rewatch 100 times. So I get that, like, not every episode is going to be, you know, the greatest or whatever. So on that, in that respect, like, I'm not going to hate on the full moon episode, but it just, I feel like there was so much we were expecting, and I do feel let down with the whole, like, side story stuff. I feel like the main thing is Blitz and Stolas, and I kind of feel like that got let down. I loved seeing, you know, the excitement of Fizz, you know, showing off what he makes with Oz. I love the excitement of seeing more of Lust. I think that's always fun. I love anything with, you know, the friendship of Blitz and Fizz kind of getting back. I think that's very exciting. But like, if we're talking about, you know, that whole segment is great. I don't know. It felt, can I also say this? This episode felt so fast to me in a way that I haven't felt with other episodes. A lot of the other episodes, I feel like, you know, they're paced really well, and they don't, like, even when it ends, you're like, oh, you know, that, I'm sad that that's over. This one really felt like it happened so fast that when it was over, I was like, whoa, what the fuck? How did we get here? I don't know what it was. The pacing was just a little fast for me. But ultimately, I mean, so we got to get into the actual, like, meat. This is not going to be a proper review of, like, a scene by scene thing the way I've done it with other episodes that I've reviewed. This is kind of just going to be my thoughts, to be honest with you, and like my vibes. The episode starts with Stolas and Blitz kind of getting ready for their date night. Stolas, and they're doing, like, you know, kind of, it's a duet, but they're in separate places. So I kind of feel like when you say duet, it sounds like a different thing. I will say it felt very, one of my issues with Has Been Hotel is I don't like musicals. And what I mean by that is musicals that are like, people are, you know, singing their feelings, and this makes me feel this, and this makes, I don't like that. I don't care for that. I don't know what it is. I've never liked that in a musical. And I already have things that, like, certain musicals I just do not care for anyway. I don't know why. I don't know what the reasoning is, but like, I'm very weird about musicals. So this starting with, you know, Stolas kind of singing how he feels and how nervous he is and all of that, I'm already kind of like, ugh, because that is not my favorite. What I love about the music in Helluva Boss for the most part is that it tends to not feel like musical music, if that makes sense. Like, if you take, like, Cotton Candy, that feels like a pop song. It was written by Kesha. Like, I like that. I think that's fun. Clown Bitch, that feels like a fucking pop song. I could listen to that on the radio. Fizz's songs, like Look at This, is really fun. House of Asmodeus is really fun. Like, there's all of these songs from the show that don't feel like musical numbers. Like, they are musical numbers, but they don't feel like musical numbers. They're a little more exciting than general musical numbers. But there's something about the way this episode, starting off on a musical number, for me was already like, ugh. I get it, and I kind of, like, love that they did this, like, duet type of thing where they're preparing and they're different mindsets. I get it. I love it. Great. I mean, the confrontation between Blitz and Stolas, I knew was going to be uncomfortable. I knew Blitz was going to take it the wrong way. You know, it was kind of like a foregone conclusion that it was going to go bad, and it was going to have to, you know, they're going to have to work through this. I knew that was coming. Like, that was not a question to me. I knew Blitz was going to misunderstand it. As frustrating as that is, I knew it was going to happen. Like, to me, there was no question that he was going to misinterpret what was being said, and it was going to be, you know, a fight, and they were going to break up, and it was going to be a whole thing. I don't know. I feel as though you know, it's emotional and it's heartbreaking, and I want them to be happy. And especially after the Look My Way music video, like, I want so badly for them to be happy, and I want so badly for them to come together. But I don't know, for some reason, Blitz's reaction was just like like, so much more than I expected. I was like, wow, where did this come from? You know? And like, maybe I'm missing something. I certainly feel like there is more that we're going to learn over time, but it was kind of even a lot more harsh than I expected. I don't know why. It was just, but again, I knew it was going to be rough. I knew it was going to be a fight. I knew like it was not going to be just like a thing where it's like well received. So like that I did see coming, even though I'm, like, oh, disappointed. And people have talked about how it's a good, showing Oz and Fizz. It's very much a good character foil for like people who communicate well versus people who don't communicate well. I would love to see what Fizz and Oz were like in the beginning, because I'd be very fascinated by that. I've read a lot of different fanfics with like different scenarios. They're all fascinating to me. I love the idea though that like maybe they didn't get along in the beginning and that they were kind of like, Fizz was just kind of like a little asshole. I think that's hilarious. I would love to see. So I'm going to be very interested to see how all that goes as well. But like, I don't know. This episode was, I don't think I would rewatch it again if I had the choice. Like if I was rewatching the whole series from beginning to end, I'm probably not going to go out of my way to watch this episode. And I feel bad saying that, but it's just not one that I feel like, it's not my favorite. It's pretty like mid-tier for me. If I was going to do a tier ranking of the episodes, it would probably go straight in the middle. It's fine. It's not the worst episode, but it's just not my favorite. And it's kind of disappointing because like this was supposed to be such a big thing. I don't want to do comparisons to other shows, but I do feel like since it happened in the same year, not even a year ago, really, I have to compare it to something like how the ending of season 2 of Good Omens went down, where there is this huge breakup and it is kind of unexpected. I think in a lot of ways, Aziraphale's response was a little bit more unexpected than even Blitz's response. Like we kind of expected Blitz to take it badly and to assume the worst and to be like very dramatic about it and not, really think through what's happening here. Whereas with Aziraphale, I feel like we expected him to just outright say no. And then when he didn't, we're kind of like, what the fuck just happened here? Like that's a whole different, for me, that's a whole different thing. But I think it's similar in that the episode started a little less seriously, a little more campy, let's say, and then got more serious as time went on. But I feel like how, for some reason, I just don't feel like that same resonance was given to this episode of Helluva Boss. I don't know why. Like somewhere in my head, it didn't feel like it kind of built to this like more serious, and then just like this tragedy thing. I don't know. I don't know why the pacing felt weird to me. But ultimately, I think my kind of thoughts on the subject are like, if you think about something like I was talking about with Good Omens, that was such a heartbreaking, breakup scene, if you will. And it was left on a cliffhanger, which I do feel like this kind of was as well. But I feel like it worked in a different way that like really made me devastated. And this, I'm sad, but I just didn't feel the devastation the way I did for Good Omens. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if that's something to do with me, because I was watching it with my mother and she's like, oh no, like don't break up, don't, she was upset by it, but I don't know what's going on with me. Maybe I'm dead inside now. I don't know. But I just didn't feel the like emotional response that I was expecting to by this. Like I knew it was coming, but I'm still kind of like, I don't know. So like ultimately my thoughts on the episode are, I'm still going to watch the show. I love the show. For me personally, like, was it my favorite? No. Was it a terrible episode? No. I don't even think it was the worst episode of the series so far. Again, I'm not doing a tier ranking. I could if you wanted to see that, but I'm not going to do that right now. I will say this. I just want to make this clear because like I am a creative person myself. I know how hard it is to put your work out there for anyone to have their opinion on. And not everyone is going to like everything that you do. Not every story you put out, not every chapter, whatever update. And I think for any show, there's always going to be episodes which are not your favorite. If they're network television, there's going to be whole seasons that aren't people's favorite. So like, that's just how that goes. And when you're doing reviews like this, like, that's just how it is. I feel like there's no way to discuss this without discussing the fact that, like, for me, I didn't really care for it. Do I think that makes it terrible? No. Do I think, and I'm willing to accept that my opinion about this may be not the commonly accepted opinion. In fact, I've seen a lot of reviews that look like people were really excited about, or like really emotional about this. And it is what it is. Like, this is just my opinion. Everyone's allowed to have different opinions. But yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on the episode. I personally just have very mixed feelings on the episode. Again, I don't think I would watch it again on like rewatching the whole series. I still love the show, obviously. And I do want to see, this is the thing though, I do want to see Blitz and Stolas work their shit out. I really, really do. I want to see Stolas happy. He deserves that happiness. I know, people have talked about like how their relationship started. That's its own thing. And that is something that is worth discussing, but that's not the point of this video, even though it is something they call out. But I still want to see them happy. I think they both deserve happiness. I would love to see them. Ideally, I'd love to see them together, but I understand that may not be where this story goes. I don't know. There's so many places they can take it, and I would love to see where it ultimately ends up going. But for me, just this particular episode, it's not my favorite. But, hey, that happens. Again, episode 5 of season 2, I didn't like either, but I love 6 and 7. So like, maybe don't even listen to my taste. Maybe you don't agree with this. Yeah, so I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments. What did you think of this episode? Am I totally alone? Do you love the Dorks agents? Do you love the Cherubs? Like, am I just totally on my own bullshit and you totally disagree? I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Oh my God, I am sweating so hard and I don't entirely know why. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to call this video here. I feel like I've said kind of everything that I want to say and need to say. Anyway, until next time, until Thursday, really, because I'm going to try and do 2 videos a week now. So this video will be premiering on Tuesday, and then my next video, which will be kind of a makeup discussion like I used to do, is going to be premiering on Thursday. So you can join me for that if you would like. And if you enjoyed this video, please comment down below, like this video, subscribe to my channel. You can also become a member of my channel. We have 2 tiers, the Our Side tier and the Ineffable tier. The Ineffable tier, you do get little emotes that I made for any kind of live chat, or if I do a live video. I'd like to do them at some point. I've just never gotten around to it. And then for the Our Side tier, you do get early access and kind of behind the scenes stuff. I've got a lot of stuff that I'm going to be working on, so you can keep up to date with that on my Patreon, patreon.com/NarcissaDeVille. Just stay tuned, because I've got a lot of stuff coming. And until next time, stay devilish, and see you next Thursday, because that's when my next video is going to be. And then after that, it'll be Tuesday again.